And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Sanssouci, which is a game from Michael Kiesling, very well-known designer, probably most famous for designing Azul. In this game, you're building a garden, and nobles are going to go and peruse your garden. What it really is, because that's kind of just a theme you lay on top of everything, is a game in which you have a hand of two cards. You're picking a card to choose a tile, then placing that tile on your board, and then moving nobles on the board, getting points as the game goes by. It's very simple, but offers some interesting strategies. Here's how it plays. At the beginning of the game, each player gets a garden board. The garden boards have some of the gardens filled in. So you'll notice there's different rows: green, purple, yellow, blue, red, and black. And then each row has a different type of thing in it. And some of them, like I said, are already filled in. So on different boards, there's going to be different combinations of those filled in. Each player is going to put someone at the top of each of these, and they're going to get a stack of cards of their color. You're going to take a big bag of tiles, and you'll use tiles equal to the number of players in the game. Like, for example, this one you would only use in a 2+ game, a 2 or higher player game. You'll shuffle them and put them randomly on this board. Each player will also have a score marker here to keep track of your score over the course of the game. On a player's turn, they're going to play one of the cards from their hand. There are 3 kinds of cards in your hand. There are cards that show colors, so this one shows red and blue, and there are cards that show structure, so this shows the little, whatever you call those things, those arches that you walk underneath. And then there's also one card in your deck that's wild. The wild means take any tile here. The colors says take one of the red or the blue. That's the 2 colors shown here. And this one says take any tile that matches that. So I would take this one here, the arch that's in the yellow row. Now when you take this, whatever you take, so let's say I take this one, you're then going to place it on your board. Now the spot that you place it on the board is pretty exact. So for example here, I'm going to put this arch in the yellow row. It's empty, I place it there. Let's say I got some red stairs, I would place the red stairs right there. But let's say later on I got another red stairs. Well, I can't place it there. So when that happens, you're going to turn it over to the side that shows gardeners, and you're going to place that anywhere in the same row or the same column. So maybe I'll place it up here like that. So the first thing you do is you play a card and you place the tile on your board. You have to do that on your turn. At the end of your turn, you'll draw a new card. But before you do that, you may optionally move one of your nobles here. When you move a noble, you can pick any noble you want and move it as far down as you can on the paths, and then you get points equal to the row it ends up in. So here I would get 3 points. Now you might, so let's say I might say, oh, you know what, I'm going to move it to row 2 and get 2 points, and next turn move it to get 3. Or you might want to shoot down to 3, hope you put a tile here, which will let you get down and get 5 points later on. So you're trying to move down as far as you can. You do not have to go straight down, but you do have to end up in the same column that you're in. And by that I mean, let's say for example, you had enough tiles. Let's put out some like this. And I want it to move this guy down to here, this noble. Well, he can't move straight down, but he can move over like this and come back. So that's what players are going to do turn after turn after turn. They're going to do this till everyone plays all their cards. Once that happens, you will also get some bonus points. You're going to get 5 bonus points for each column that you completely have filled. And for each row, you get 10 points minus the value of the row. So if you fill row 2, you'll get 8 points. And if you fill row 6, you will simply get 4 points. Players also will have drawn 2 mission cards at the beginning of the game, and you will get points equal to where that person is in their row. So when you get this, I'll be like, ooh, the statue row, or the statue column, I mean, I want to get that person down as far as I can to get extra bonus points at the end. There's also a couple of expansions thrown in the box. One of them just lets you put this board on like this, and it gives you bonus points depending on, or actually negative points, depending on how far you move down your nobles. And then you also have some piggies that you get a pig that you get to move around the board and displace and things like that. Neither one of them is necessary, but they're just little optional things you can add. The components for the game are pretty good for the most part. These are really nice. If you think about it, you're turning the garden tile over just so it fits in the same row, doesn't confuse you. I found that some of the columns look a little similar. For example, this one here is a little confusing. This has little pavilions in it. You'll notice there's two different pavilions. They did that so it's prettier to look at, but sometimes you'll see one pavilion and go, oh, that must go in a different column. It's just that I found some of the columns are, I don't know, it's a lot of green looking at it. Now, it's not the end of the world. You will eventually figure out which column something goes in. But there's that going on. And it's also just, they're small tiles. There's, this board here is not a particularly great track. Yeah, the components for this one, while it does look like a nice garden when you're done, I still think the components are just kind of okay. Okay, so this game, when I got it out and was looking at it, I thought, okay. I was interested because of the name Michael Kiesling. But I haven't liked everything he's done, but I think that he's designed several good games. But after playing this, I was really intrigued by it. The two-hand card, you might feel a little bit limited by it, but you're really not. And the rules say if you play a card of like one of those structures and that structure's not out there, you can take anything. Well, that's cool. That gives you more options. And I enjoy that, deciding what to take. So there's a couple things you're thinking about. Filling the columns. That's a pretty obvious one. 5 points each, and they're also easier to fill than the rows. Filling a row, though, isn't bad, but it's all about moving the noble down. Now, every turn you want to move a noble down. And you probably want to move them more than 2 spaces. And you can see this because the score markers are being moved and it's almost like a race. The game is not a lengthy game. I want to say it's 12 rounds or so as you play out all the cards in your deck. But you're keeping that, but then let's say you put down a tile that lets you move your noble to the 5 position. Do you move them to the 5 position, or do you move them to the 4 and then next turn move them to the 5? That's 9 points. Or do you move them to the 5 hoping that next turn you can play a tile that moves someone else to the 5 because that's 10 points, which is better than 9. That seems like a very minor thing, but it's kind of the focus of the game. And there you have the satisfaction of filling rows and columns. You'll never fill everything. It's impossible. You don't get enough tiles. But the idea of if you can pick something where you already have something in that exact spot, you then can play it anywhere in that row or column, that opens up a lot of fun, interesting choices. It's not a heavy game, and I think this is one that a lot of people can be taught and played. I don't know if a lot of people are going to take a look at this. This is a reprint, like I said, of a game that came out several years ago. I don't even remember that game. But this one here, this one has me interested. I find it to be just something that's delightful, I guess is the right word for it. Because it's not that difficult. You are sitting and look at your cards, you look at the things, say, I would like that tile. You take it, you start messing with it on your board, the next person can go, you replace the tile and they go, and then you decide how far to move down the person. That's it. You have your little mission cards. The little modules I found are okay. I don't think they necessarily are amazing, but they add little tiny tweaks to the game. But yeah, this is one I think I would put this in almost a welcoming thing. You just moving the nobles down is the one thing that I think people might find a little bit unusual. It's like, oh, I'll move them down as far as I can. Maybe not always to get more points. But other than that, it's simple, it's breezy, looks pretty, at least the garden out there. And I think Kiesling still has it. Yeah, brilliant guy, has designed some very involved, intricate games, but still can design some nice, simple games that I think a lot of people will enjoy. Anyway, I'm Tom Vasel, and that's Sanssouci. We'll see you next time on the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment approved!